I just had to send a call to voicemail.
You're listening to the Theology of Games podcast, your source for gaming news, reviews, and interviews with the top voices in the industry. Find us online at theologyofgames.com. And now, here are your hosts, Scott Firestone and Jeremiah Isley.
Hey everyone, welcome to the 14th episode of the Theology of Games podcast. In one sense, it's hard to believe we've already done 14. In another, I'm like, how could we have only done 14? But anyway,
it's only 14.
I'm Scott Firestone. I'm Scott Firestone, and
I'm Jeremiah Isley. How's it going, everybody? How you doing, Scott?
I'm doing well. It's after the holidays now, and so it's hard to believe it's 2017, and the kids still have, they don't go back to school till Monday, and so I've got a few more days of gaming goodness with them, and so we're hitting that. Speaking of gaming, it is now 2017, as I said, and we are going to do a blog post about our 2016 games of the year.
Of the year.
Our criteria for that is not strictly 26 games that came out in 2016. We would love that, but sometimes there's a game that came out maybe in Europe in 2015, but didn't get to America to 2016 and things like that. So what we're looking at is kind of things that came out in 2016 or late, 2015 sometime, or that we played first in 2016. But what we really want to do is get a reader's choice category. And so we would love for you, our listeners, to tell us maybe your top 5, maybe your top 1 games of 2016 that you played that came out around that time. Tell us what you loved that you played in 2016. So you can tweet that at us at Theology of Games. You can email us at theologyofgames@gmail.com. You can post on Facebook. You can just figure out some way to communicate with us what your favorite games of 2016 were. And we will write a blog post with our pick and then some of your picks.
Yeah, so a lot of people are giving us, 1 or 2, or there's a number of folks who are giving us like full, like ranked 1 through 5 picks and things like that. We're just kind of taking all of those picks, all those games, and throwing them in a big pile and seeing which one is the most. Like, we don't have the brains to like take everybody's rankings and then figure out how much weight that one holds or whatever. So if you give a game a number 1 ranking and a number 5 ranking, it just counts as a vote for one of the best games. So, but
maybe if there's a tie, we'll go, this one got more number 1 votes.
Yeah,
so
maybe we'll go that route, like, oh, this one was voted number 1 more than this one, or at a higher rank or whatever. But anyway, yeah, just like Scott said, we want to kind of let your voice be heard on this. We've always done, a top 10 or a top 5 of the year kind of award. It's been a really good year for gaming. There's a lot of really good titles that came out this year. And there's a few titles that I've played this year for the first time. I guess I should say last year. So it's been interesting to see the conversations that have already been started around all of this. So yeah, get those votes in
and vote for yourself, not with the crowd. Be your own person.
That's right. If you liked, I don't know, I was trying to think of some crappy game that came out this year.
Yeah, but I don't want to tick off any publishers. So
whatever that crappy game is, right? Just vote for it.
There are plenty of them.
Yes, for every good game that came out, there's probably 2 that weren't so good. So yeah, do what you got to do.
As I said, we're recording this just after the holidays, and it is -12 here in Colorado, and that is not with wind chill. That's just straight up temperature.
Air temperature. It's cold. That's cold.
Thank God for a working furnace.
Yeah.
So, but we want to find out we're going to talk about what games we got for Christmas. And so, Jeremiah, what are some of the board games that you got or gave for Christmas?
So I got a board game for Christmas. I got Seven Wonders Duel. You talked it up so much the last time that we did our podcast that I was like, all right, it's going on the list, and it came to fruition. Showed up under the tree. So I haven't actually yet had a chance to play it, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm probably, I just talked to some folks a day or two ago. We might be getting together for a little game day kind of thing. So hopefully I'll be able to put that on the table soon. But I did get my boys, or, combination of myself and like grandparents and whatnot. They got Escape. We got the deluxe version of Flick 'em Up. And excuse me, the Carcassonne Winter Edition, which is actually really cool. I've kind of come to like really enjoy just the basic Carcassonne again. We've played that like 2 or 3 times over the break, and we've had a lot of fun with that. And we also got the power-up expansion for King of New York, which is awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Because
I need to get that.
Honestly, I don't think I need to play King of Tokyo again. Like, King of New York is just that much better. And now that there's the power up, it's like, I'm good with that, And then they also got the jumbo edition of Sequence. Have you seen this thing? It's
I don't think
huge. So do you know Sequence, right? Like, it's this board with all these different cards, and you're trying to like basically tic-tac-toe almost, 5 in a row with playing cards and whatever. But the jumbo edition, it comes in this like 3.5 foot long tube, and the play mat is like giant.
Wow.
It's cool. It's a fun game. It's strategic. My boys love it. And now apparently it's like the old person version, for like bad eyesight.
What's that number over there, Sonny? I'm not sure.
So that's
I think you were talking about Carcassonne Winter Edition like 2 years ago when we did a podcast.
Right.
We were talking about
when it first came out,
and I remember him going, "Yeah, I want the white tiles," and so that's great that you finally got that.
Yeah. It's been a long time coming. It has been a couple of years since they released that, and it's fun. It's a winter wonderland that you're building instead of just some European hillside. So it's a good time.
Yeah.
So what about the Firestone household? What new board games came into the family there?
Well, my wife, who is a after Thanksgiving Black Friday shopper, got a great deal on Quirkle. And so I'd never actually played it. I know it's kind of floated around out there for years, and it's very mainstream and popular.
Yeah.
And so we got Quirkle and played it, and the family loved it quite a bit. And it's totally a gateway game. Like, you could bring this out with anybody, and they're going to have no problem with it. I got the Ticket to Ride map pack. We don't play Ticket to Ride a whole lot, but there was a great deal on this map pack. It's the United Kingdom and Pennsylvania.
Oh, sweet.
So it adds the UK side adds some technologies that you need for your trains, and then the Pennsylvania side adds stock options, which is kind of like Alan Moon's other games like Union Pacific and Airlines Europe and things like that, where you're adding stock. So it increases the complexity quite a bit. But
I've heard
it
that
also adds variety.
Yeah, I've heard the Pennsylvania pack is really, really good. I haven't had a chance to play it, but a few of my gamer friends say it's just top notch. It really kind of breathes new life into the game. So that's cool.
Yeah. And then I got kind of the deeper game I got is Dungeon Pets. I know it doesn't sound like a deeper game.
Yeah.
But it's a semi-complex worker placement game, but with a super light theme where you have pets that you're trying to take care of, and they poop, and so you have to keep their cages clean.
Nice.
And send imps out to clean their cages, and so I got that one. And the boys, it's interesting because my oldest doesn't really like playing board games. He kind of grudgingly will play with us. Mm-hmm. And he's looking at the little pets that came with that, and he goes, "Dad, this looks kind of cool." And I was like, "Do you want to play it?" "Oh, okay." So I was like, okay, let's do that. So I think we're going to do that today.
Score.
The game is almost certainly too complex for them, but
yeah,
the fact that he's interested in it, I was like, "Oh, we're going to take a shot."
That's funny.
So we're going to do that today.
I actually have a friend who he goes and like he'll scour thrift stores for board games because every now and then you find like some old copy of something or whatever, usually with pieces missing or whatnot. But he actually found Dungeon Pets at a thrift store locally for like $3 and turned around and like got a king's ransom trading it on the Geek, you know. But I was like, why didn't you keep it? I wanted to play that.
Yeah.
But
why wouldn't he keep it? That's weird.
Yeah. I don't know. He knew it was kind of a high priority game, you know, a lot of demand on the Geek. So he got, I forget what all he got, but he got quite the return on that $3 investment. So
I don't know that I've ever found anything at a thrift store that was decent, and I see posts like that all the time. I'm like, you people are crazy. But I have gotten great like sales at regular stores where I'll go into a store and there's like this super out of print game for list price, and I'll buy it and turn around and trade it, same kind of thing, or sell it for 3 times the price I paid or whatever. And there was one year, I can't remember if we talked about this, but Barnes and Noble, you know, when they kind of get their games, and then every so often they'll cycle through and get rid of some of them, and so they'll go on the clearance table. And this is when they first started carrying board games. Right. And I walked in there one day, had no idea. This was before, you know, like as soon as it happens now on the Geek, there's like 1,000 posts and everyone's running to Barnes and Noble. But I don't think anybody knew about this. So I go walking in, and on this table is Twilight Imperium 3 for $20.
I was going to say, I mean, Barnes and Nobles is kind of known now for like crazy clearances, but that's pretty outstanding.
And the same day, so I'm like, okay, I'm definitely getting this. And then War of the Ring, which is another big fantasy flight at the time game, $15. And I was like, this is maybe my greatest day of finding treasure ever.
Right. That was like when Rage used to be like super hard to find. I went into
the
card game. Like it was out of print for a long time. I mean, people were selling it for like $80 on eBay. And I walked into, there's a local chain of stores called Marks, and they like buy out warehouses and like, people just dump their stuff on them and they sell it super cheap. I walked in and found like 12 copies of it for $3 a pop. And I like saw it and I like literally like was like, oh my gosh. And my wife was like, what? Like she thought something bad was happening. And I just started like pulling these games off the shelf. I was like, we're buying all of these. So I made a good little profit on that myself.
Nice.
It was pretty awesome. Anyway, so we totally derailed that conversation. Anything else you guys got for Christmas?
Nope, that's it. Yeah, we're moving on.
All right, let's
on the table to be specific.
Moving on to the table. So so this is just the segment of the show where we talk about games we're playing and why we like them, why we don't like them, and all that kind of stuff. So, Scott, what's been on your table?
Well, we have tried out a new game that was sent to us as a review copy called Villages of Valeria. And apparently Valeria franchise is it has other games in the series. I actually hadn't heard of it, to be quite honest with you. I didn't know anything about it. I was like, oh, Villages of Valeria. And then I look on the Geek and it's like, oh, there's tons of other Valeria stuff. And so I didn't know in any way what to expect. And so we sat down and played it. And it's a cool little game. And we're going to have a review of it very shortly.
Very, very shortly.
And the other thing is a game called Argent the Consortium, which is a weird name, admittedly. But I can't remember if I've talked about this. It's so bad. But we have had it on the table recently because I just threw it in the bin and we've played it like 2 or 3 weeks in a row. And It is a super complex worker placement game where you're trying to vie for votes to be the next chancellor of a university of mages or wizards.
Okay.
And so there are all these there's so much variety in the game because every game you set out these tiles to form kind of the university, and each room has a different special ability, and each of those tiles has 2 sides. So every single game you play of this can be completely different and feel different because of the way, this is in shortage, this game, and so this is more important or whatever. And we've just been playing it a ton, and it is very confrontational too. Like, you are booting people out of the room and doing things to mess with your opponents because you're trying to win, which I normally don't like. And for some reason, it completely works for me in this game. It is a great game from Level 99 Games, who do like Millennium Blades and Wrath of Indies and stuff like that, like a lot of anime artwork. And great game. Argent the Consortium. If you like complex worker placement games with a lot of interaction, you will love this game.
Very cool. Yeah, I've heard of that game, and I think you may have talked about it a little bit in a past episode, but sounds really good. Sounds cool. Trying to think. I know I've played some other Level 99 games, like Cell Sword, which is a 2-player game. I feel like I've got a couple other their games in my collection, but yeah, they seem to be putting some cool stuff out there for sure.
Yeah.
So
that's good for me.
Yeah, so I only wrote down a few to talk about here, but we had quite a bit of gaming going on over the last couple weeks here with break and everything happening. But we played Villages of Valeria, which, like you said, we'll be reviewing soon. Fun little game. Really, it's kind of a streamlined kind of card game, but there's a lot to it to try to master it and really work things out. I guess be the fastest to score a lot of points in it. So I don't know. We'll talk about that a little later, but be sure to check out theologyofgames.com to find that review. But we also played Escape a lot. We got the big box. It was...
Oh, okay.
I don't know if I mentioned this before, but it was on sale on Amazon for like $32 or something like that. And wow. I had already ordered the base game for like $27. Like, it was super cheap. And then like 2 days later, like, I had already gotten the base copy. And 2-3 days later, the big box went on sale. And I was like, well, guess what I'm returning? So we've gotten through, I think it's just the first expansion with like the curses and the treasures and things like that, and we're just having a blast with it. It's been a lot of fun. I've yet to, when it's just me and the boys, we've yet to beat the game. Like, it's even just the base game, it's been pretty tricky. But when my wife plays, and she likes it because it's fast enough, it's basic enough. Like the learning curve is really fast on it. So she sat down and she's played it with us, and we've won. I think just about every time we've played with 4 players. So good game, just really fast paced. Doesn't overstay its welcome. Lots of tense moments because you got to get back to the safe room and all that stuff during it. So it's been a very well received game here in the Isley home. We also played, like I said, Carcassonne Winter Edition, which is lots of fun. As cheesy as it sounds, the artwork is really cool. Like, there's like reindeer in a field, or there's like crows kind of flocking through a cloister tile and things like that. So there's just enough in it. Like, the rules haven't changed at all. Like, the farmers are still farming the snow-covered fields. So it's not like, it's a completely... It's literally just a reskinned push out of Carcassonne that And like I said, I think there's a couple tiles in it that only made their way into some of the expansions, but are now in this as a base game. So that might be like the one difference. because I noticed there was a few that I was like, oh, I don't think we ever had that until whatever expansion it was, but still, lots of fun. It's Carcassonne. It's a classic. It always has a place on my game shelf. And then
nice.
Lastly, we played one game of Flick 'em Up. And so we went over to my in-laws, my wife's mom, for Christmas. We did like a day or two after, and we brought it along because they like to play games every now and then with us. And we set it up. I brought like my game mat so everything would move well on it and slide and this and that. And halfway through the game, my son goes to pick up the movement disc, and he drops it. It bounces off the table onto the floor and right through the grate of a heating vent. And we take the vent off. I'm like, oh, it'll just be, at the bottom, somewhere in the duct. No, like I get my arm in there as far as I can go. We get a shop vac out. I mean, literally a good like 45 minutes to an hour of trying to retrieve this thing from the heat vent. And it is lost in the duct. Like the furnace ate it. It's gone. So after a few days of emailing and whatnot, we finally got a hold of Pretzel Games, and they sent out a replacement yesterday. So I was just...
That is one of my biggest fears. We play in the kitchen all the time, and there's a heat register right under the table, and I'm always like, guys, be super careful, because I think about that all the time.
Yeah.
And now that I hear this from you, it's only going to increase my paranoia.
Well, you just gotta, I don't know, like put a rug over it or something. I don't know. Fortunately,
yeah, there's got to be a simple solution. I mean,
right. Fortunately, like at my home, we play in the basement, and all the heat vents are like in the ceiling, so I won't have to worry about that. But yeah, I mean, it was just a perfect shot, like right down. Found the right angle and everything. So. But it's funny because I was looking, I was searching on The Geek. I was like, is there a replacement part? Like, are people ordering these things? What's going on? And like all these people are like, oh, well, this checker's closed, so you can use like a crokinole disc or, whatever, which is a little bigger. And I'm like, how come nobody's like writing customer service at Pretzel Games? Like I wrote them, right. And they were out of town for a little bit over the holidays and whatnot, but they wrote me back and said, yeah, we'll send you one out. Okay, cool. Like game companies do that kind of thing. So that's my advice. If you lose your disc, just send them an email and they'll ship you out a new one. I asked for like 4 spares, fact, but
I have Flick 'em Up a deluxe edition, and mine was missing a piece as well. And I emailed them, and they sent it right out. And so, and it's the same kind of thing. Like you look for people going, "Hey, I'm missing a piece. What should I do about that?" And I'm just like, "Are you dumb? Just write the company."
Yeah.
And if it's your fault, maybe they charge you a couple of bucks to replace it. But
right, or shipping at least. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, any company of any size, gaming wise, I've always known, and I've always heard, like they keep a handful of copies, 5 or 6 on hand, just so they can part them out for people that are missing things, because right. That happens, like it's just part of manufacturing. It's never perfect. So, just
right.
write the company.
Don't get mad at them. Like, I can't believe this was missing a piece. You really can't believe that?
Right.
There are 500 pieces in this, and it's missing one, and you can't believe it?
Right.
Wow. You have really high standards.
So yeah, just it's an email. It's 2017, people. We have ways of communicating. So anyway.
Well, that's perfect, because now that you have Flick 'em Up, we can do a double take review.
That's
of
right.
Flick 'em Up.
That's right. It's on.
So look for that.
Yeah, definitely. It's such a fun game. I really like it. I've played it like once or twice before, and I was like, we got to get this game. So I made sure that happened. So good stuff. All right, it's time. time for fire.
And ice.
Yes.
This is the portion of the show where we talk about a game that's been on fire for us, we're super excited about.
Yes.
And one that's left us a little cold. Maybe we used to like it, don't now, or we never liked it, or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, Jeremiah, what game has been on fire for you?
Well, we just talked about it. And it's Escape, The Curse of the Temple. Just tons of fun. My whole family enjoys it. We have fun with it.
Just in case people don't know, tell people what it is.
Okay, so Escape is a real-time dice rolling adventure game. Like, it's literally like Indiana Jones with dice. You play, there's companion tracks. It comes with a CD, or you can download MP3 files. A CD? What's a CD?
8-track coming to you soon.
Right. The whole purpose of the game is you're inside this temple and you're trying to get out. And I don't even know that I've read like the whole story. There's these gems, these crystals that you have to remove from the chamber in order to get out, because as you're exploring, all these rooms come up and you have to roll a certain combination of, torches or keys or whatever to pull these crystals out of the crystal chamber. And then once you find the escape room, you have to roll a number of keys that is one more than the amount of crystals in the crystal chamber. But while this is happening, it all takes place, the track is like 10 minutes, almost exactly. So while it's happening, though, every 3 minutes, you're going to hear this gong sound, and you have to roll your way back to their starting room. If you're not in that room by the time you hear the door slam, you lose a die. So you start with 5, and you go down to 4, and you can go down to 3 if you don't make it the next time, which makes it really hard, because then you've got to get rid of more of the crystals before you can get out, because there's a limited number of dice. It's super tense. It's a lot of fun. And it doesn't, like I said, it plays in 10 minutes, literally. Like, that's the longest you can play, because if you don't make it out, you don't make it out. It's totally cooperative. We have a lot of fun with it. Like, the music gets super tense when you're trying to get back to the safe room, and it's really, really cool. It's a very exciting kind of board game. So we've really been enjoying it.
Yeah, and I've played the base game only, and it was tense and fun, and those real-time games, they stress me out. But it was in a co-op game, it's a little different than like, oh, I'm playing this real-time game against everyone else. I'm just going to give up now because I suck at that. I still am terrible, but at least if it's a cooperative game, it feels more fun, and the stress is shared stress. So it's a fun game for sure.
Yeah, because everybody's kind of like talking to each other, and if you're in the same room, you can help them out with your dice and things like that. So the expansions, like I said, I've only played one of them so far, but it adds a lot of cool wrinkles to it, and I've started kind of browsing through the ones that are coming up, to add in, and they all look like they're a lot of fun. So looking forward to digging deeper. I highly suggest or recommend looking into more expansions for sure.
Nice.
So what about you? What is the game that's on fire for you?
Well, it's a new social deduction game, and I don't know if anyone knows this, but I love social deduction games. So, everything is held against the standard of the resistance, but maybe someday there's going to be something that's better. I have yet to find it, but still, I like to try out these new games. And so, a new one that just came out is called Secret Hitler.
Yes.
And it is a social deduction game where some people are liberals and some people are fascists, and one of the fascists is secretly Hitler. And the goal of the game is for the fascists are trying to either you're enacting policies that are either liberal or fascist.
Okay.
And so throughout the game, and so it's kind of like the voting things or the missions, And so, but it's a little more difficult because, so basically someone is elected president.
Okay.
And then the president, or not elected, it passes around. And then he says, I think so-and-so should be the chancellor. And everyone votes on that for various reasons. Same thing as kind of the resistance,
Sure.
where you're deciding whether they're going to go on the mission.
Right.
So when someone is finally president and chancellor, those people pick up the top 3 cards from this stack of policies, and 2/3 of them are fascist and 1/3 of them are liberal. And so the president picks up 3, doesn't say anything, and discards face down one of them and hands the other 2 to the chancellor, who will then discard one of them and then enact the last one. So there's lots of things that can happen there where maybe you literally picked up 3 fascists, and so you have no choice but to enact a fascist policy.
Right.
But maybe you picked up 2 fascists and the liberal, and you're a fascist, so you ditch the liberal and hand them, and then you tell the person afterward, hey, sorry, I got all 3 fascist ones, even though that's not true, and they don't know if you're telling the truth or not. They're like, well, I got handed 2, and you can kind of work out the math and go, well, there's a good chance that all those in there are fascist policies in that stack. But at the same time, like, the numbers don't always 100% add up, because math sometimes does that, where
right.
the odds are this way, but it actually is this way. Or if people are lying, and so you go, well, if everyone's telling the truth, there's only one liberal policy in that stack. But people could be lying and probably are. So anyway, the point of the game is, if the liberals can enact 5 liberal policies, they win. Or if they can assassinate Hitler. And so it's kind of an interesting thing, because there are boards, and as you lay these policies out, only on the fascist policies, the person who's president gets special powers. Ooh. And so sometimes as a liberal, you're tempted to enact a fascist policy so that you can take this special power and look at somebody's party affiliation card. Or, different things. Like, one of the ways to kill Hitler is you have to enact a fascist policy. Well, if you think you know who it is and the right person is president, maybe you do want to enact one, but that puts them closer to winning the game.
Right.
It's really cool. I was afraid that I was going to be like, well, here's another one that why did I waste my money on this? And
right.
But we had a blast playing it. It was really fun. And I would say, if you don't like the resistance, there's nothing here that's really going to change your mind, even though one guy said he liked it better than the resistance, because I'm not sure exactly why, but he enjoyed it more.
Sure.
But so there's nothing that's going to change your mind there. But I also think that it brings enough new stuff to the table that it's certainly worth playing with a group of people, especially higher numbers. I don't think the resistance works well at 9 or 10, say, but this does work well at 9 or 10 just because of the mechanisms of the game. So check out Secret Hitler. It is a game on fire for me.
Cool. So what about a game that's gone icy cold for you?
Okay, this is going to be a weird answer, but it's Secret Hitler. And I know we do this a lot, but here's why. Because it's about Hitler. And so there's this part of me that's like, wait a second, we're playing a game where someone is Hitler, and the bad guys are trying to get Hitler in power, and the makers say that it's kind of historical, that they're trying to Hitler is elected chancellor and eventually comes to power. Well, that's the point of this game, is like, if you elect Hitler chancellor and win the game, you're basically allowing World War II to happen and Holocaust.
Right.
So I know it's completely abstracted, and I know it's not really real, but there's still a part of me that's like, I'm not sure if I should be playing this and being excited about electing Hitler chancellor.
Right.
It is just a game. And I tell myself that in so many other arenas.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to tell myself that here, but I still go, is this insensitive? Would I feel the same way if I had Jewish relatives who had died in the Holocaust?
Right.
Would I feel like we should play this game where people are Hitler?
Yeah. Should I be high-fiving my teammates when we win?
Right. Yeah. Oh, don't ever say that. So, yeah, that's just the tension that I'm under right now.
Yeah, no, I get it.
This game is that I really like it, but I am just not sure. And is this something I'd play with a youth group? I don't know.
Right. It seems like an odd theme, because mechanically it sounds like you could really put that in any realm, you know.
Absolutely.
It could be skinned any way. Like, okay, we get it because, you know, Hitler, like, it's familiar to us, so it's not so abstract that we don't know what's going on, and maybe it speeds up the learning curve. But you could put that in the Resistance universe, or a fantasy or a sci-fi universe, you know, like it doesn't seem like it's really dependent on the theme.
Yeah.
But, you know, maybe they're going for that kind of shock factor, or I don't know. It's interesting though.
It could be.
It sounds like a fun game. It sounds like it's a good time, except for the fact that you're trying to get Hitler in power. But
yes.
So there's that.
Interestingly, no one at the table mentioned that. Like, we played this game a few times and nobody was like, they just didn't mention it. And I didn't mention it either, to be fair. But
sure,
it didn't come up. Nobody was like, oh, I'm not going to play that game with you guys because I'm uncomfortable with the subject matter. Or afterward going, oh, I feel skeevy about that. Like,
right.
No, it never came up. So, I don't know.
Interesting. Very interesting.
That's my ice game.
Yeah.
What is icy cold for you, Jeremiah?
So, hear me out before you react, but it's raw. But raw.
I'm stifling. I want you to know I'm stifling.
I know, but raw with 4 players. And
okay.
Here's why. It's broken with 4 players. We played
Broken?
It's broken. It really is. We played with 4 players, and maybe I didn't like it because I was kind of on the short end of it. It got to the point where I was the only player that didn't have a high enough sun disk to outbid anybody. So literally, every time there was something I wanted, I would bid on it, and somebody would just outbid me, and they would like be swapping the 11 for the 12, and they would outbid me. I had, I think I had a 9 was my highest, and they would just flat out every time. They knew I wanted it, I needed it, whatever. And so I was just hoping that there would be some terrible disaster or plague that would come out that nobody wanted to touch because it would really mess up their scoring. But by the time anything like that was going to happen, they had scored so much, or they had bought so many tiles that they could absorb that damage pretty easily. And like, I literally was locked out of the game, and I was really unhappy with it. At 3 players, it's great. It's an amazing, amazing game. But at 4 players, it was broken, and everybody knew it. It was a rough go. So.
Oh, Jeremiah.
I know.
Broken?
It's not a popular opinion, but
I agree with you that 3 is the absolute best. I've played with 4 and it's okay, but and I would never play with 5. Yeah, so I'm going to be the devil's advocate here a little bit and say that you must have done things and bid on things that gave you those low tiles, because the distribution of them is even at the beginning of the game. Yeah.
Oh, sure. I put myself in that corner, but the problem I think I bought a flood tile because I had to have it. We were going to score. I had all these river tiles. I wasn't going to get it. So I spent, because I knew everybody else was going to try to get it too. So I jumped in there to grab it. And then as soon as I did, I traded a 10 for like a 6. And as soon as that happened, everybody else just started swapping. And they were, their shift was, like I said, from an 11 to a 10, or a 12 to an 11. Whereas my shift was, it dropped me 4 or 5. But the problem is there was no way for that power to then even out again, unless somebody dropped the ball and just let me take something. And it was a very frustrating evening for me.
I can see how that would sour you on a game.
Yeah.
It's just hard to hear it. I didn't like Raw for a reading reason. I'm like, what?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, with 3, that never becomes an issue. Everything's distributed evenly. There's ways for you to get back in. That all makes a lot of sense. But at 4, I was like, oh wow, this is not cool. It was really easy to get put in a really bad spot. So yeah, there it is. I said it.
You said it. Okay.
So I say we fill in the blank.
Let's do that.
Boom.
Am I supposed to sing my song?
Yeah, do it.
Fill in the blank, fill in the blank. Hey everybody, let's fill in the blank.
Fill in the blank.
That's my song.
All right, so
I don't contribute much to the podcast, but that's one thing I do contribute.
It's true. We'll have to write a jingle for that, you can sing along with and stuff.
Or just push a button and it plays.
Right. We'll get you in the studio. We'll record some stuff here. It'll be awesome. Excuse me. Okay, so fill in the blank. I don't understand why people love blank so much. Now we're talking about board games here. We're not talking about life in general. So, just to clarify.
Anchovies.
That is true. I don't know why people love anchovies. Anyway.
I don't either. That's disgusting.
Yeah. Okay, so.
Okay, so am I answering first?
Sure, go for it.
Okay. I don't understand why people love Flux so much. And I know Flux is kind of my whipping boy.
Yeah.
And that you like Flux and have a good relationship with Looney Labs, and I have nothing against Looney Labs, but that game is so chaotic. I don't even know. I understand playing things for just the fun of it.
Right.
But, oh man, that's just it ramps the chaos up to 11.
I have a great chaos story about Flux. It's one of my favorite moments with Flux. We were playing Zombie Flux.
It will probably only validate my feeling for it, so please share your story.
So we were playing Zombie Flux, and we were playing with a friend of ours who's a very casual gamer. She loves games, loves having game nights and getting together and everything, but she's just very casual, and it's easy for cards to kind of trip her up or whatever. And so we're playing Zombie Flux, and there's a card that says it's called Zombies Win. And if everybody has a creeper, if everybody has a zombie in front of them, and somebody plays that, everybody loses and the zombies win, right? Total chaos Flux, which I love. It's awesome. And for some reason, she read it wrong. She read it that if everybody has a zombie in front of them, if she played it, she won. So she played it thinking that she had just won the game, and she was all excited. And we're like, no, you lost. We all lost. The zombies creeped up and got us all. It was pretty amazing. We laughed and laughed. It was a good time. She was a good sport about it too. She's like, no, just cracking up. But yeah, so Flux chaos.
And you guys obviously had a super fun time with that, and I love laughing with my friends. But to me, that would be like the laugh of, I can't believe I'm playing this.
Oh, yeah, good times.
Yeah, all right. So Jeremiah, I don't understand. You don't understand why people love blank so much.
I don't even know if this. I don't understand why people love Risk so much.
Okay.
There's never been a game I have hated more than Risk.
Wow.
I can't remember one time. And I mean, my brother and our friends, growing up, we had Risk, and I knew people that would be like, hey, we're getting together, this weekend, and we're going to put 3 Risk boards together, and we're going to play all day Saturday. and I'm just like, why do you hate yourselves that much to put yourself through that kind of torture? It sounds miserable. It's just a terrible game. There's no it goes around talking like it's a strategy game when everybody knows it's not. And basically you're going to get about 3 turns in and you're going to know there's like 1 or 2 players that are going to be contending for it, but everybody else has to be a part of the game for the next 4 hours just to prove that we knew what we were talking about. It's a terrible, terrible game. It's the worst. I don't know why people still buy it.
Yes, and the interesting thing to me is that so many semi-casual gamers will play it. Like, I know people who don't play a game all year long. One of my friends, Storm,
yeah,
he does not play board games. He doesn't care about board games, really, or whatever.
Sure.
But every New Year's Day, he and his son have this tradition where they play Lord of the Rings Risk.
Oh.
And I think, why would you do that to yourself? You're going to go from 0 to 60, and not a fun 60, like the 60 that melts your face off 60.
Right.
Because you're playing for hours and hours and hours.
It's like 0 to 60 being drugged behind a semi.
Yes. But look how fast you're going.
Right. And if that's your experience with board games, no wonder you hate them.
Exactly.
Play a good one.
When they hear me say I play board games, they're probably thinking, "Oh, you're going to go play for 4 hours and play this boring game?" No,
right.
Because I have good taste.
Yeah, it's literally the worst. I don't get it.
Yes. And attrition, like no game should have attrition-based combat because the only person that benefits is the one guy that stood back, watched you 2 idiots fight each other,
right,
while taking down your things, and this one guy goes, "Hey, I win!" "Oh yeah, well you only have one guy left in that area. I'm gonna waltz in and just crush."
Right.
Terrible.
Yeah. It's the worst. I'm
with you there.
All right.
If you have a good reason to play Risk, you can tell us, like email us or tweet
Yes,
us.
please do.
Why you like Risk? Because someone should try and convince us, because we both hate that game and don't understand why people like it. Or Flux, for that matter. Tell us what you think about it.
Yeah, please. I hate to be so negative on the podcast or on the blog, but I had to get that out there. So, but yeah, we'll listen to any argument that you might have for Risk or Flux, because those are 2. Well, I've given my arguments for Flux, but Risk, I think we can both
like Flux, but
we both come together on Risk. Just a terrible. Oh man. Anyway,
all right, let's move on. Jeremiah, what is a game that you'd love to see made into a movie?
There are so many good options in this, and it's. So we put this question on Instagram and Facebook and everything last night too, and I said one of my first responses was Zombie Tower 3D, just because I like the tower, like it's so cool. I think that'd be like an awesome movie. But the zombie thing is like played out, and it's even I'm getting a little tired of the zombie stuff. But it's hard to decide on this because there's a lot of good stuff, but I think something like Tiny Epic Galaxies would be cool. Or what was the other one I was going to say? We didn't write this down. I can't remember now. But anyway, so I'll just say, Tiny Epic Galaxies, or even stuff like we talked about with, Escape today, where it would be super sweet that, like this cool adventure, high tension movie kind of thing would be awesome. Yeah. I will say one of my favorite responses we got on Instagram was somebody said Carcassonne, and it would be about Vin Diesel laying in a field as a farmer the entire movie. I thought that was outstanding.
What a weird and excellent answer.
Right?
Oh, man.
Yeah, pretty awesome.
Okay, well, I was thinking about this, and I think whenever they're going to make a Monopoly board game, I just roll my eyes and go, oh, my goodness, what are you thinking?
Right.
But I think Twilight Imperium 3 could be a really great movie. Number one, I love science fiction. Just adore it. And so And I don't know, if you don't know this game, it is a big, huge, sprawling game of 4X where you're trying to explore and exterminate, and I mean, it is big. But there are like 12 different races in it, and they each have their special powers, but they're really cool. Like, if you look at the artwork and the abilities of these races, it's like, this would make an awesome story. I want to know what the barony of Letved or Letvev or whatever, like, what is their background? What did they do? And there's kind of a paragraph there, but I think this could make for an amazing, serious science fiction movie with these different races. And who cares how they came about? Because some of them are ridiculous, like giant turtles, but they're cool looking turtles. They're like snapping turtles, the ones that'll take your arm off. And so,
nice.
Anyway, I think Twilight Imperium 3 would be a fun movie if it was done well.
Yeah, I just remember the other one I was going to say.
Michael Bay need not apply.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say Coup, I think would be a really cool, like futuristic, political backstabbing, assassins, corrupt sheriffs. Like, that was one that I thought, oh, that'd be pretty sweet. So, sorry, it took me a while to remember that.
Oh, that's the one you were going to say?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, that's the one I was going to go for.
Okay.
But I was trying to look up who wrote the Carcassonne one. I was going to give them credit, but I can't find it. Anyway, a lot of people said like Pandemic would be sweet.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
I think there is a movie called Pandemic, isn't there? About a pandemic.
There's one kind of like that. I can't remember what it was called, like Outbreak or...
I think it might be Outbreak is the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Anyway, with Rene Russo. Yeah. Anyway.
Yes.
Okay, moving on. I got to get back to my show notes here. My favorite moment / memory from Christmas 2017 is...
Well, for me, it was Christmas morning, and that sounds cliched, but our 8-year-old is the sweetest kid in the world. My 12-year-old is also sweet, but my 8-year-old is so accommodating, and he has these simple tastes in things and wants. And so we got, one of the things he wanted was an alarm clock. Like, he's the kid who will run into the kitchen when the hour is about to change and look at the stove, and then he'll watch that change, and he knows that about 10 seconds later the microwave changes over the hour. And so he runs over to the microwave, and he'll watch that too. And so he just loves those kind of things. And so he wanted an alarm clock. And so, we got him other things, obviously, but we got him this alarm clock. And when he opened that, it was a Lego alarm clock, and his face lit up. And it was like, oh my goodness, this kid is pleased by the simplest, gestures of love toward him. And it was just awesome to see.
That's very cool. Yeah, it's cool. Like, when you find those gifts for your kids or somebody that it's not like the big expensive thing or the flashiest thing, but it's like it hits home with them. So that's always awesome. I think for me, we always go over to my parents. We had a great Christmas morning. Like, it was first Christmas morning in our new house, and had an awesome time with our family and everything. But my mother had asked me if I would shake the rust off of some Christmas songs, bring my guitar over, and on Christmas Day when we go over, just kind of play some songs or whatever. And we got Cooper, my youngest, we got him a ukulele. And so Christmas morning, like, I'm teaching him a couple chords and this and that. And, he's 8, like, he's not like picking it up super quick, but he's learning a couple things. And they had done a thing at school where this music school came in and they got to play some different instruments, and ukulele was one of them, and he thought it was really cool. And so we we all got together and we pulled out some songs, and me and the boys had been working on them beforehand, but he wanted to bring his ukulele, and like he had the little gig bag on his back. Like he looked like he was ready to go to the gig and play. And so when we were playing, he pulled out his ukulele, and, you know, he wasn't playing great or anything, but he was totally like dialed into it. He wanted to be a part of playing the Christmas songs and singing and everything. And it was just really sweet. We had a really good time with it. So, it was pretty fun. So yeah, I think that was one of my favorite moments of Christmas this year. There were a lot to choose from though. We had a really fantastic Christmas. So
we did too.
Lots to be thankful for. So,
well, we are wrapping up the show, and so, as is tradition, we are talking about the lightning round.
The lightning round. And this is the part of the show that we are terrible at, because lightning rounds are supposed to go quick and fast and be like question, answer, boom, boom, boom. And instead we give question, paragraph, 3 paragraph, next question, and then so on and so forth. So anyway, lightning round. Favorite Rogue One character. Have you seen Rogue One? You saw it, right? Like, I know it took you
we did see it. Like,
took you a long time to see episode 7 and all that, and you killed me because I couldn't talk about it for like ever. But you saw Rogue One, right?
It wasn't forever. It was just a few weeks. Yes, we saw Rogue One.
Okay.
We went and saw it the other day, and it was great.
Yeah, I really liked it. It's funny because I've heard a few people kind of pan it for different reasons, but I'm like, get over yourself. It's a fun movie. It's an action movie, and it's Star Wars, so have fun with it. Anyway.
And I think, I'm not positive about this thought, but I think I might like it better than The Force Awakens.
Really?
I know that's surprising.
That's very surprising.
I'm not sure about this.
I'm not there. Anyway. I'm not there, but I liked it. I'm not.
That's fine.
Everybody's into this like whole ranking thing. Like, oh, is it better than Empire? Is it better than this one? Like, it was good. I don't know. Empire's my favorite. Everything else comes after that. Episode 1 and 2 are at the bottom. It's like Empire, episodes 1 and 2, and then 3's probably up from there, and then everything else is just kind of a pile in between. I don't know. Anyway, what was your favorite Rogue One character?
I'm not sure I'm pronouncing his name right, but it was Chirrut.
Oh, Chirrut Imwe?
Imwe?
Yeah, the blind guy. Yeah.
Yes,
by the way, spoiler alert for anybody who's listening. We're going to talk about characters, so if you haven't seen it, just know that we're talking about that. Anyway, yeah, so Chirrut Imwe was...
I'm not planning on talking about any major spoilery stuff.
Sure.
He's a blind guy who you don't really find out a whole lot about his past. He seems like maybe he was a Jedi but anyway, you know how, the first 3 movies, so the original 3 movies took the Force, and it was kind of like this spiritual thing.
Yes.
It's not, and then the next 3 movies made it into some kind of biological thing.
Right.
With midichlorians or whatever.
Right.
I was sitting in the theater with my friend watching number 1. We had waited, I don't know how many years at that point, but whatever.
17, 20, something, yeah.
Yeah. So we're sitting there, and they say that thing on the screen, and he and I turn and look at each other at the exact same moment. We didn't know the other one was doing it. And we looked at each other slowly and then met eyes, and we're like, it was like something out of a movie that we had done at the same time, but it was like, we could not believe. We knew that was the moment. Oh no, they jumped the shark, and this is going to be horrifying. And it was. But
yeah.
Anyway, so this movie, at least, it seemed to bring it back to the Force being something spiritual. And I'm not saying, trying to equate the Force with Christianity in any way.
Right.
But, his mantra that he says over and over.
Right.
He does things with the Force with a trusting way in the Force. And It's not like, I trust you because you're biology and you work out, but it's like, it turns it back to being something spiritual.
Right.
And I just loved his character so much.
Yeah. It was a very interesting character. And he says in it that he and his companion, the guy that's with him, were guardians of the wills, which goes really deep down the geek hole with the original title of episode 4 it's really long, like the tales of Luke Skywalker as told from the Journal of the Wills. Like there was some sort of race or people that were called the Wills that were like part of the Force or one with the Force, and these guys were guardians of that. And so I thought that was really cool that they kind of went even further into some of that Star Wars, like really, really obscure folklore kind of thing. But I enjoyed his character, but I don't know that he was my favorite character. And my favorite character is probably a little obvious, probably a lot of people's choice, but it was K2SO, the droid. He had some great one-liners, some really funny quips, stuff like that, but which I really liked, but I thought it was cool because he really displayed the sort of like gritty guerrilla tactics of the rebellion. He's this reprogrammed Imperial droid that they're now using to kind of, get into places and put an Imperial face on what they're doing. So I thought it was just a really cool, kind of a deeper look at, okay, this is what the rebels are doing. They're really out there just kind of doing whatever it takes to bring down the Empire. So I thought that was pretty cool. And like I said, he was a pretty awesome character just, because of the humor that he brought to the screen. So that was my choice.
That's a good choice, and certainly one of my favorites. And speaking of the gritty, I did like how this movie showed that side of it. It wasn't the clean things of the first 3 movies. It was back to being like, these are real backwater places and real people trying to eke out an existence, while something that ultimately affects them, but in a day-to-day doesn't necessarily affect them, is going on out in space. And I don't care. I'm trying to feed my family.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I thought it did a good job. It did a good job at a lot of that stuff. So, good film. Go see it if you haven't seen it. All right.
Absolutely.
Lightning round.
All right, what's your favorite lightsaber, or what would be your lightsaber color?
What would be my lightsaber color? For 2 reasons. One, it's my favorite color, and 2, it's pretty obscure. It would be orange. I know there's a couple, like, there's like a 500 Jedi in like episode 2 when they raid that place or whatever. So I'm sure there's like an orange lightsaber blade in there, a couple of them, but you don't see them a whole lot. And I think it'd be pretty unique and pretty vibrant. So that's what I would go with. What about you?
I would probably go with green.
Yeah.
I like the color green, and it's, I don't know, it's just bright. And so
yeah,
I want those people to see their death coming at them,
Right. I'd say probably my second favorite lightsaber in the series is Luke's in Jedi with the green blade, and
yeah,
it's pretty cool. Like it just pops. It looks right, It looks like a lightsaber should. So, all right. Well, hey, we did that one pretty quick.
Yeah, that was my intent.
Yes. Lightning round. All right. Favorite moment of 2016.
Favorite moment of 2016. Man, that's a tough question, and I should have thought more about this when I knew it was coming. I'm gonna say my family has this tradition of going to this water park down in Denver called Water World every year.
Okay.
And it is just, I don't know, it's a day that is like in a bubble for us every year. It's like all of our cares and worries and stresses go out the window, and it's just the four of us having 100% of a blast of a time, and
Nice.
For this one day. And so I love every day when our family goes to Waterworld, and it's a highlight of my year.
That's cool.
So it was again this year.
That's cool. We have a few of those kind of days that we build into our year. Like we go to this park called Idlewild, and like we even do Christmas Eve. We go to the zoo, which everybody's like, what are you, crazy? It's cold. It's this and that. It's awesome. Like we go, there's all the buildings that have like indoor exhibits and whatnot, but it's like in the middle of commercial, crazy, busy Christmas time. We just go hang out at the zoo for a day. So it's a lot of fun. So I understand those days that are in bubbles like that. But getting back to the question, there's been a lot that's happened that's been really awesome in 2016. I know a lot of people are like, oh, 2016, get out of here, blah, 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 whatever. But we just announced on Facebook, I think, was it yesterday? Maybe day before?
I think the day before, yeah.
Maybe it was the day before that my wife is once again pregnant. And so, so 8 years later, we're having our third child. Surprise! So, I think looking back, one of my favorite moments is the day I came home. Like literally, okay, we were closing on our house and had to be out on a Friday. And the Tuesday before, she's like, hey, guess what? And I think my brain shut down for like 2 or 3 days. I just remember it like rebooting on like Thursday. And I'm like, oh, hey, we got to get this stuff out of here. But it's just, the topper of a crazy year that we did a lot, family wise. And so that's probably one of my favorite moments is just finding out that Team Isley's getting a little bit bigger. So, yeah.
And congratulations. I have known for a long time.
Yes, you were among the few.
Keep it under wraps. And so I've rejoiced with him and made fun of him and all of those things that a good friend does in the midst of this wonderful time.
Yes, it's been quite the ride, to say the least. And it's great, only just beginning. So, lightning round.
Which leads into our next question. What is your hope for 2017?
I have a lot to be hopeful for. Obviously, we're hoping that the baby is healthy and wealthy would be good, but I don't think babies really come out with the bank account. But so my hope is probably number one for that, but also that with our new house and all the renovations that we're trying to complete and everything, that we would kind of be able to really make some big strides towards getting things more complete and kind of more settled in our new home and our new house. Which leads into just having more time to be with friends and family and board gaming and all that kind of stuff. We made a pretty big leap to do this move and to make this lifestyle change. And my hope is that it even comes closer to fruition, and we're able to really enjoy this next season of life with a newborn and our boys, growing as they are, and just really kind of embrace it all. So that's my non-lightning round question answer. What about you? What are you hoping for 2017?
I I'm hopeful that my family will be settled as far as my job. For those who don't know, I felt called to full-time youth ministry.
Yeah.
And so still looking for the right church for that and for that connection to be made. And in the meantime, there's just a feeling of unsettledness, and that's been difficult. But I have hope that in this next year we will be settled somewhere, and that God's plan for that will be revealed, and that we'll get settled wherever that is. And so that's my hope.
I did send you that link for that church in Ohio.
I know, and I sent in my stuff for that too. But we'll see. How amazing would it be though if we were in the same state and so close? That would be awesome. That would be outstanding.
So anyway, I know it's been a long road for you guys as well, and so I'm hoping that that will all be resolved, and this next chapter can open up for you guys. So, always looking out for you. But, if it was in Ohio, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
In my own selfish way.
I could say it would be fun, but man, Colorado, I live in Colorado.
Listen, Ohio's not that bad. We got a good basketball team.
I'm not saying it's bad, but come on, Colorado. Like in the foothills. Like I look out in this mountain.
I know. I look outside.
I'll go where God leads me.
Right, there you go. That's the best way to do it. All right, so final lightning round question. Lightning round. What teams will meet in the Super Bowl? Now, I know we probably just lost a bunch of listeners because they're like, this is board games. We don't talk about sports, but whatever. We talk about sports too.
We both love football.
Yeah.
Both our teams stunk it up this year.
Oh my gosh, you have no idea.
This year's especially.
So painful. The season of pain, let me tell you. So it won't be the Browns. It won't be the Broncos.
No, it will not. I think it will be the Cowboys and the Patriots.
Yeah.
The Cowboys, I cannot argue with. That's my wife's team. She's from Texas.
Okay.
We're a house divided, and most years I get to make fun of her because they stink, and the Broncos win Super Bowls. And
right.
This year it's like, your team is awesome, babe. They are.
Yeah.
They hit fire with Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott, and I think they have what it takes to go all the way. And even now they're backup, quote unquote. Like if for some reason something happened to Prescott, if Romo had to come in, he could do that. Well,
Romo could come in and lose a playoff game for them. Yeah, he could do that.
Yeah. So anyway, I think them, and then the Patriots. I despise. There's no team I despise more than the Patriots. But so it pains me to say, man, they're really good, and they're probably going to win again, and it drives me crazy because they're the most annoying team in the world and the most annoying coach, and they're so smug, and I just want to punch them in the. And anyway,
the hoodie.
I'm sure they're going to be.
Yeah. So those are actually my picks too. I think nobody in the NFC can get in the way of the Cowboys. I'm not a Cowboys fan. I used to be, when I was a kid and Tom Landry was coaching them and stuff. And then I started to fall in love with the Browns, and that's been my existence since then. But the Cowboys, up until this year, if Tony Romo was coaching the team, quarterbacking the team, I would say no way, even with Ezekiel Elliott, because everybody, I think Romo's one of the most overrated quarterbacks of our era. He can't win when it's on the line, but Prescott, man, they just caught lightning in a bottle, and I think he could take them to the Super Bowl. I don't know if he's got what it takes to win, especially because I believe the Patriots Again, nobody's going to get in their way. They went 14-2, and Tom Brady missed 4 games because of a stupid suspension.
Right.
Like, are you kidding me? So I think they could go all the way, and I really think they're probably going to win. I can't believe the year that Prescott has had. I'm supremely jealous of the quarterback play of the Cowboys this year. So anyway, so that's I agree with you.
You guys are going to get a great pick next year, though. A great pick.
As long as we don't blow it and know how to develop it. We get 2 picks.
Yeah.
We get the 1st and the 12th because we traded with the Eagles last year. So we'll see.
There you go.
We'll see. But again, it's one of those years. It's like, is there really a good quarterback coming out? I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right. So, hey, I think that's going to put a wrap on it.
Thanks for listening to episode 13, everyone.
Is this 13? No, this is 14.
Oh, it is 14. You're right.
Don't weird me out there.
Sorry.
So, anyway, like I said earlier, we did put out some of our fill-in-the-blank questions out there on Instagram, on social media. We'd love to hear. There's been great responses. Even this morning as we're recording, stuff's been coming in. So please, somebody said smash up to the game that would be a great movie. That would be so cool.
Be funny.
Wouldn't that be awesome? So just stuff like that. We'd love to interact with you more. Please let us know if you have a defense for Risk, why that is a good game to play, because we just don't see it. And anything else, if you have any questions, anything you want to tell us about the show that could improve it, or the blog, or anything like that, we're always evaluating and examining ourselves and how we can make what we do even better and more enjoyable for all of you. So with that, I will say I'm Jeremiah Isley.
And I'm Scott Firestone, and thanks for listening to Theology of Games podcast. Bye.
Bye. We'll see ya.
You've been listening to the Theology of Games podcast with Jeremiah Isley and Scott Firestone. If you enjoyed this episode, we'd appreciate your subscription to the podcast and your review on iTunes. Thanks for listening. Have a blessed day, and until next time, get a game on the table. Jeremiah's a super busy guy.